highest heights. The training is the same breath control, the same focus, the same concentration to dive to the bottom of a deep pool is the same to rise to the heights. It's just the only difference is you in the 3D and opposites matter.
Next question. Well, man, this chat moving. You got this chat moving fast, Ron. Can an Orisha choose you without being initiated?
They in your bloodline already. They not only are they in your bloodline, they codons on your DNA. All of the 7 Orisha are codons on the DNA. They just what you call so you imagine like you got T cells that command your white cells what to do in the body. The Orisha on the line that they own command the network of amino acids that make that DNA chain up. And there's 7 major sections to the helix. And each one is governed by a different Orisha. You don't even have to be melanated for them to call you forth.
All right, let's keep this thing moving, y'all. Piece of the planet. Can Tesla coils be used to raise consciousness and activate ancestral energy? Thanks for the super chat donation, TR.
You can do almost anything with a Tesla coil. Matter of fact, when I describe the divine feminine woman in her true nature, I call her a Tesla coil.
Ooh.
Because she's able to manipulate reality with the power of love and thought alone. But it's so many of us, and those are the women that normally had the hardest life, and people try the hardest to control them because they want that access to that frequency, but they don't want her to wake up to the selfish desires of their desire for that access. So they try to subjugate her and force her into performing, and she can't perform by force. She can only perform from a place of love and reciprocity. And this is why men are required to learn how to help a woman balance her emotions with her intellect. In other words, balance her feminine energy with his masculine energy. And then he can read, he can know, okay, she moving like this. That means it's going to rain in 3 days at 4 o'clock. She just know by the way she moving her energy. Because her energy, she can be a walking oracle where you can read her like tarot cards, or she could be a walking disaster to tear your life apart because you don't want to do your part by learning your woman. And most of the guys don't know that it's just important as to learn your woman as to learn your favorite sport. It might be more important to learn your woman if you plan on having a happy life.
So the happy wife, happy life shit is real, huh?
Well, it's not just happy wife, happy life, right? It's happy means happy team. Because you're not going to be happy making her miserable, because she can't stay miserable while you happy, and you can't stay happy while she miserable. So by balancing the two, it's the teamwork. What makes the dream work is the weaving of the two together in a unit. And the man that's mastered that ability has that ability no matter what woman he with. And that's why the man that every woman wants is the man that every woman wants, because he's the natural at that ability to bring out the best in that woman. Because he understands the nature of the feminine and the power that he can wield. That's why they say behind every great man is a great woman. She don't have to do nothing. That's the crazy part. All she got to do is, if you can keep her in her divine feminine energy, stuff happens when you playing. You get to see through cracks in the game. You get to sew the game up, restructure the game, reset the game, all because you know how to read her energy. It's important. It didn't have nothing to do with preferential of the wife over the husband or the husband over the wife, because it's a team. You can't take the team aspect out of a functional relationship. Soon as somebody become a dictator, it's not a team no more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you end up with uncivil war fought in a civil warfare manner. That's why they call it domestic violence. It's uncivil civil warfare.
Mm. All right, let's keep this thing going. I'm trying to look for some good questions. I think I got one saved. Somebody wants to know, if you get dementia, do you lose your soul? I heard
No.
any? No. Okay.
So dementia is caused by plaque in the brain that blocks the firing of the synapses. And that's done through the diet. The diet and toxins is what causes Alzheimer's and dementia. That can't cause you to lose your soul. You can't lose your soul. But you can use when they say lose your mind, lose your soul, that means when you're doing something that is so out of character, that's not you no more. That's what the ancients call losing your soul. You've lost yourself in behaving outside of who you are. But you can't sell your soul. What they gonna do? Put it in the bag and take it with them?
But Rod, let's keep this thing going. Keep going. Rod, will we evolve into the physical where we would be to withstand temperature of space? This has to do to when you said you hate being cold. Do you understand that question?
There is, yeah. So they talking about the absolute zero of space where it's so cold that things instantly freeze.
Okay.
When you go into your Merkaba body, you generate enough heat where the external don't affect you like that. And we've evolved and devolved through that cycle many times throughout the eons of existence. And we'll get there again. We just won't be the day of tomorrows because it's a heavy amount of work, collective unison work required just for one of us to make it to that level of evolution. And the ones who are already at that level of evolution, they come and go as they please, and they don't participate in the affairs of mortals.
Keep this thing moving. New Diamond, shout out to New Diamond. She wants to know, what do you think will happen next now that the Pope has passed away?
It's hard to say. I don't really like trying to do predictions, but there's some characteristics to the fall of this empire. They're going to try to appoint a new Pope. That's going to go bad for some reason, but I don't know what's going to cause it. But the next Pope's supposed to be the last Pope, but really it's the Pope they just announced dead because he wasn't really the Pope, right? That was, which one they say just passed Benedict?
Francis, I think, right?
Francis. Then the one right before him was Benedict. He was the Pope before the last Pope. Because the only way that the Pope can leave his position is through death. That's why they use old men, because it's a lifetime position. If you put one of them riding SOBs in the Pope position for 50 years, they ran so much havoc on the world. So they always use old men because their lifespans are already pretty much expired. But it's going to be used as a catalyst for other things they want to justify accomplishing. But it don't mean that it's something that they wasn't going to try anyway. They just needed the opportunity or the excuse or the event to be announced so that they can tell you what the next wave of their plan is. But it don't matter what they plan. They lost. It's over. Eviction notice is served. They can come up and prop up as many of these cross-dressing popes as they want to. They're not going to take the place of the divine feminine.
Right.
Right? And the return of the ancient ones is at hand. We here.
Yes, sir.
And this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first time that we had to go through this. This is just the only time you remember because it's the time you're dealing with right now.
Right.
Right. When you playing in the 2025 championship game, you don't give a damn about the 2024 championship game, especially when you're playing against a different team.
Mm.
Right? You know you already that game already won. That's over with. This is where we at because all of this charade game they playing, this galactic chess game they playing, games of the gods, board games, lodge games, they all expiring in real time. And as they all fall, they have to make these announcements like the lizard bitch died, the trans-testicle pope died. All of those are what they call markers, just to mark where they at in the fall of the old system. Because
Right.
all it is about changing the system into a new, more prosperous system because somebody thought they could do it better than the ones who had been doing it for eons. So they had 6,000 years to prove themselves and they failed.
Mm.
They was too focused on trying to turn men into women than trying to find peace and harmony and bring heaven back to earth.
Mm. Let's get to the next question, Rod. We're gonna do about 3 more before we get out here. We officially crossed the 2-hour mark. We still got 4,200 people in the building. Shout out to everybody who's you know tapped into this information tonight. Rod, Ice Storm wants to know: can you talk about the Haiti Empire in America? I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Haiti or Haiti?
Haiti. So they are critical right now. Like all eyes from the Americas, North, Central, and South should be on Haiti. We need to be hoping that we see them experience prosperity and fast because they the ones who've been economically in last place and they gonna get the first payout on the turnaround because the last gonna be made first. It's already written. And the first gonna be made last, meaning all of them leeches and blood suckers that thought they was at the top, they finna get kicked to the back of the bus. Right? We gonna put them on the caboose of the train, and then I hope I had a saboteur that while we moving the train real fast, that they disconnect their boxcar and leave their ass rolling in the opposite direction.
Oh shit!
But AT is important. The Haitian Revolution. This is what your divine insight was fighting for. This is what you got Orisha Stone, my chief of staff, Rising Phoenix. This is what they've been fighting for to close out the Haitian Revolutionary Conjure so that they could bring the prosperity back to the island.
Yep. That George Washington challenge connect with this too, because that he was part of that same oath to come and get rid of the that challenge ties into the blood oath to get rid of the princes on the land and make them pretty much wipe their memory out. Now let's bring my next question, and then we're gonna run. We got about 4 more clips to run. But why was it important to make us forget a lot of our stuff that we did, like divinations and like
because they cut you off from your intrinsic ancestral power base. They take away your spirituality and replace it with religion that keeps you powerless because you constantly put yourself in a sleep spell in the name of the Amun. It's a mandatory spell. Every time you saying it at the end of your prayers, you telling the known God to remain unknown. I mean, don't shine my light in the world. I want people to know I'm powerful. So it enhances the ego, but it subjugates the God's self. It's like putting shackles on a God. Because can't nobody hold you down but you. Ain't nobody hold me down. Oh no, you got to keep on moving. So when you look at the war structure, the goal is when the close of the age come, all debts must be settled. All conjures must be closed, right? Everybody must be prepared to account for their right or their wrongdoing because this is the great celestial payout for the karma that we accumulated over lifetimes. We call it generational traumas, generational curses, generational blessings, right? Because we all know a family, they ain't rich, but they don't never want for nothing. None of them in their family don't never want for nothing, but they ain't rich. They always stumble into the good jobs without having to have all of the qualifications. It just lines up for them, right? That's because that's their generational path clear financially, right? Normally when you find people in poverty, that means that they the pauper gods. They waiting on the end to cash in. They don't know that heaven is on earth, but they about to find out. Before you run out one elder. This one right here is about the paper genocide.
Okay.
Trying to tell victims of paper genocide to prove their ancestry with paperwork is like telling the murder victim to prove that he got murdered, even if you know who the perpetrator is.
Wow.
So they telling us we know about the paper genocide, right? But now the sister about to ask AI about the paper genocide. Somebody sent me this for a receipt too. And the AI is going to tell you how paper genocide works. The goal is to disassociate the people of the land from the land so that you can say they abandoned the land and you can assert salvage rights to the land to claim the land as your own. Right. And it all plays out in the laws that they pass, the salvage laws, the squatters' rights, and all of those things is the army that's imposing on the people of the land has to have a certain way to assert what part, how much of the land that they've settled on. So they got squatters' rights. Then you had the salvage right. The salvage right gave rise to something called eminent domain, where the government can take your land and appropriate it for what they want to under eminent domain. That's part of the claiming the land by the foreign force. The foreign force is the fictitious government called the United States Corporation, right? So now this is how paper genocide work, and this is what AI.
They can paper genocide and take the princes out.
No, or
you don't even remember. Some of us might be princes of tribes that don't even remember.
Yes, we do. We still doing it.
Go ahead.
Look, that they can also label you criminal on paper and call your tribe a gang.
That's right.
And they come in with infiltrators. We got the records of their infiltration. We got records of it. And when they come in with the infiltration, they make the closest two tribes fight each other with BS, senseless violence, or they make it about the money. Because at the end of the day, we as the chiefs is responsible to feed the family. We supposed to get it off the dirt. We ain't supposed to be part of their system because we had no contracts with them people. So being that we are called enemy combatant nations, we call outlaw tribes, we call non-treaty tribes, we call enemy or foreign dependent nations, that still don't make us citizens of the government. We don't got nothing to do with them. They claiming us in hopes that we surrender who we are and acquiesce to their claim of ownership of us. But this is my public notice that they don't own me. Notice the agent is notice the principal. Right. As long as it's said in the public domain, it's an archive format, a recoverable format, time-stamped and dated, the whole tribe can use it.
Hey, let it be known on the microphone.
They don't own us. We're not assets of the corporation. The corporation was stealing our assets. Let it be known.
Let it be known.
We don't mind working, but we want to work to build our own. We don't want to work to build somebody else's in our house.
Right.
That's irrational, illogical, and somebody must be a damn fool.
Right.
right?
Right.
You done seen what they did to us, a historical record, and them burning us down, sicking the police on us. The police is a foreign police force occupying the territory. We got a video on the police to occupy Iraq,
Uh-huh.
and then they make an Iraqi police force,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they get to pick who on the police force,
Right.
and they get to make the rules to what the law is.
Right.
So now they using us to police us to do their dirt.
Yeah. Because the cop, the black cop pull you over, he be the worst, treat you better than the other cop, kind of cop, you know? He treats you money. They not America. They United States courts. That's what we
Right.
They ain't. Yeah.
So now you got to go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Who was operating as traders, not as trading in goods and services during the colonial period? You had the Virginia Company,
The Indian
Northwest Trading Company,
British. Yeah. Yeah.
right? You had your Manhattan Company
Right.
that bought Manhattan.
Right.
All these are corporations,
Right.
right? All they doing is getting the territory to work from a boss.
Right.
But some kind of way, they tried to overthrow the boss.
Right. Big Mama.
Sealed by 13 colonies.
Right.
Right? They let them over because it was coming off the heels of a war all across Europe.
Uh-huh.
Remember, the Moors that got kicked out of Europe, they didn't just give up and walk away.
No. No.
They fought bloody warfare for 700 years.
Right.
Against the hairy Europeans.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Recorded. I ain't recorded. I wasn't there.
Right.
Right? So when they finally get ran from over there, then they all get ran across the Pillars of Hercules back the way they came as Etruscans.
Go ahead.
Right? The Turks was running, was the pale-faced Turks was overthrowing the Byzantine kings